Welcome to Blooming Wildwood Homestead. We've talked a lot about kind of planning your garden and getting ready to set things up. And so today I wanted to talk about some of your options that are available as far as setting up garden beds and thinking through maybe what it is that you might want to do to set up your area and how that might work for you. The first thing you're really going to want to think about is what type of soil do you have? So here we're in zone 8 in the Pacific Northwest. We get a lot of rain, mostly through the winter, early spring, sometimes through the summer. Usually it rains a lot here, except for last year when we had the drought. And if you've listened to my other videos, you've heard me complain about the drought a lot. So we just aren't accustomed to that. Usually we have a lot of rain, and that really impacts the soil and the choices that you want to make so that you can have the best garden possible. With that in mind, the type of soil that we have here at the homestead is more of a clay, and so it's really, really gummy and sticky and hard to work with if you leave it in its natural state. One of the things about gardening is that things are always an experiment. You're going to change things up and do different things depending on what you've learned and depending on some of the experiments that you've run. This area right here was tilled in the summer, and then we had tomato plants in here, and you can see after just the little bit of rain that we've had, well, we've had a lot of rain, but you can see how gummy and already compacted that is. If you want to be able to till this kind of soil, you're going to have to wait a lot longer, and then you run into problems with not being able to get your plant started right away, and the growing season's too short, and you just can't get the production that you really want. Well, we spotted the farm cat. Here's Rosemary, trying to look all productive out on the homestead. Pretty sure this is in between her multiple daily naps. We're working on switching over to more of the NoDig style of gardening. This lower section here looked the same as that top section that I just showed you. It was getting tilled and, you know, just super gummy unless you had it drying out enough to really be able to get on it. And so last spring we put in these types of beds, the NoDig type of beds. This soil here is a garden mix, so it has some topsoil, some compost, and was just kind of a good starter soil, which we've put the rows where the plants will go, and then we put down cardboard and bark in the aisles to try and cut down on weed issues. And also, just with all of the rain that we've had, it's easy to get out here and be on it and not have to worry about compacting the soil or making it impossible to work. So last year we had onions in here as well as corn, and they just did phenomenal. So we're going to be converting that upper area to these type of beds. So those are a couple of options. You could do traditional till if your soil was so inclined that way, or you could go with more of the NoDig style. And NoDig definitely has a lot of other benefits as well, and we can talk about that at a future time. One of the cool things about living in the country is you get a lot of different kind of wildlife. So we've got this red-head woodpecker here. He's been hanging around in the apple trees. Another option you have would be to put in a raised bed. So I'll show you some examples from my urban location. I just went with some simple wood beds, and that's a great way to get started if you've never done raised beds before. If you're interested in something a little bit more permanent, then you might want to consider doing some block beds. The wood beds are great to get started with. However, the problem is that the wood will decompose over time, so you will have to replace those beds over time. That's where the block comes in handy. So you could use cinder block as was used on this particular bed, or you could use a fancier block. Either one of those options, any of those options, would be a great way for you to get started. So it just depends on really how much you want to invest in it. The block is a more expensive way to go versus the wood, but it is going to be longer lasting. So for a lot of the area here, everything used to be in wood, and then it's slowly gotten changed out over time to be more of this block style because it is more permanent. So you really do have a lot of different options when it comes to trying to decide what kind of garden beds you want to put in. And I want to encourage you just to kind of think through all of the different factors that are going to be involved in that. What do you have time for? What do you have the money to be able to do? What do you have as far as soil that's already on your property? Is it in good shape? Is it something that's going to need a lot of supplementation so that it's going to provide the nutrients for your plants? Is it clay soil? Is it beautiful topsoil? Just really take all of those things into consideration, and that will help you to make the plan that you need for your best options as far as garden beds go. So if today's video was valuable to you, please don't forget to click the like button as well as subscribe, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye everyone.